All right, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're taking a look at something I know you're super interested in, and that's goal setting, and really like how to make those goals happen.
hmm
So you sent over some fascinating stuff for us to go through today, and one of the things that really caught my attention was this audio clip that uses the analogy of a burning piece of paper to represent goal setting.
Yeah.
Now, have you ever thought about it like that before?
I mean, it is a really vivid image, right? I think it really drives home the point that all that initial excitement and energy we have when we start a new goal, it's kind of like a bright flame, you know?
Yeah.
It burns really intensely, but it's not going to last forever, just like that piece of paper. Eventually it brings itself out, and all that's left is a pile of ash. And I think so often that's what happens with our goals, too,
Oh,
right?
yeah, totally. I mean, I feel like I have a whole graveyard of abandoned projects and
Yeah.
goals. Like, remember a while back, I was absolutely convinced that I could learn Italian, write a screenplay, and completely redo my entire garden, like all at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah, needless to say, my Italian is still pretty much limited to ordering pizza.
Uh-huh.
Uh, the screenplay is just sitting there on my computer somewhere, gathering dust. And, well, the garden's a whole other story.
Yeah, yeah, we've all been there, right? I think it's so easy to get swept up in the possibilities and then try to do way too much at once. And the problem is, when you spread yourself too thin, like that, nothing really gets the attention it deserves. And ultimately, things just fall apart.
Right, exactly. And that audio clip really hit on that, didn't it?
It did. It really emphasized that true success isn't about juggling a million things at once. It's about channeling that energy and excitement into a few key goals and then having the discipline to actually see them through.
So it's not really about that initial burst of motivation then, is it? It's more about finding that steady, consistent effort that you can maintain over time.
Yeah, exactly. Think of it like training for a marathon, you
Yeah.
know? That initial excitement of signing up is great, but if you want to cross that finish line, you need to put in months of dedicated training, pushing through the fatigue, dealing with setbacks, all of that.
Yeah, for sure.
And then that sense of accomplishment you feel when you finally reach the end, that's the reward for all that sustained effort, all those times you chose to keep going, even when the initial excitement had worn off.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
So it's not about being less passionate about things. It's more about learning how to focus that passion
Mhm.
and direct your energy in a smarter way.
Right. And one thing the audio clip suggests is asking yourself a really key question before you dive into anything new. And that is this just a fleeting desire, or am I truly willing to commit to this for the long haul?
That's a great question.
Yeah, it really forces you to take a hard look at your priorities and figure out which goals are truly worth your time and energy.
Definitely. And, one thing that kept coming up in all the material you sent was this concept of deep work. That ability to really focus on a demanding task without getting distracted.
Absolutely. And there was that one study you sent over that found that people are actually most productive when they set aside dedicated blocks of time to focus on specific tasks rather than constantly switching back and forth between different things.
Mhm.
And, that really ties in with this whole idea of focused consistency we've been talking about, doesn't it? It's about creating the space and the structure to really delve deep into the work that truly matters rather than just skimming the surface. And it also connects really well with the Pareto principle.
Oh, right.
That idea that roughly 80% of our results come from just 20% of our efforts.
Okay.
So by figuring out which activities are actually the most impactful, the ones that are really moving us towards our goals, we can prioritize those and make significant progress without feeling overwhelmed.
Right. So it's not just about working hard, it's about working smart.
Exactly. It's about being intentional with our time and energy and applying that focused consistency to the goals that really matter most to us.
This is all making so much sense now.
Yeah.
It's like all these different ideas are starting to connect and paint this bigger picture.
Yeah. And as you think about all of this in relation to your own life, I want you to consider this. How can you shift from being drawn to that fleeting excitement of starting something new to really embracing the power of sustained effort to achieve something that's truly meaningful to you?
That's a fantastic question to leave everyone with. Thanks so much for all your insights today.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
This has been another deep dive, and we'll catch you next time.
See you then.